えてない。でも再生数を伸ばすには F 動き超好きよね。
Welcome back, nerds. Fino here with a guide for Super Bunyan. She's a 5-star alter ego introduced in the Mississippi Mythicizers event, and when she's not busy stiffing her employees on payment, she's robbing you blind in the gacha. Real piece of work, this new Bunyan. So what's the anatomy of this new breed of criminal? Well, crime the first is that assassin and rider are attached to his accessories instead of being separate servants. I've had my eye on assassin for a while, so it's a real kick in the nuts having to dust off Super Bunyan to catch a glimpse. As for Bunyan's actual kit, we start things off with Executive Order. This is a 3-turn personal attack and party buster buff. Next we have Vision Quest, a 30% battery that comes with a one-time party overcharge buff that lasts for 1 turn. As a battery you level this first. Executive Order and Vision Quest hint at a multi-core application for Super Bunyan, and while such a thing technically exists, I think you'll find her usefulness on this front quite narrow. One of the big issues is that Vision Quest is both a battery and a highly restrictive overcharge buff. If you use this on turn 1 or 2, it's effectively wasted since most setups only have both attackers fire off together on turn 3. This means you either sit on this for 2 turns and hope you don't need the battery, or waste its overcharge effect. Skill 3 is Maple Syrup. This is a single turn AoE NP seal and 3 turns of crit chance reduction. On your side of the field, your party's Buster Star Absorption goes up for 3 turns. It has its applications, but this shouldn't be a high priority for you to level. Super Bunyan's Noble Phantasm is America's Dark Sweetheart. This is a single target buster attack and its overcharge leaves behind a 3-turn defense reduction debuff. The special gimmick behind America's Dark Sweetheart is that it scales off Bunyan's likes. In this footage I've been playing, you may have noticed that Bunyan accumulates these whenever she attacks and whenever she's hit. Each one of these adds 5% more damage to this Noble Phantasm. You're capped at 10 likes, though getting anywhere near this number requires some fuckery on your part. Each like only lasts for 3 turns, and on a standard cycle, you can only count on drawing Bunyan's cards 5 times within that window. If you're lucky with a Brave Chain, your extra card will give you a 6th. You can actually hit 10 if you get lucky. Let's say you get back-to-back Brave Chains due to a deck reset. That's 8 stacks right there. Between your other face cards and getting hit, it's not impossible for you to cap out. But given how unreliable this is, you may want to stack the odds instead. One option is to run Bunyan solo. You're guaranteed to eat every attack, and you can build up likes this way. The catch is that, even if Bunyan looks like an offensive King Protea, she can't take hits like King Protea, and she has effectively nothing in terms of protection. Back to the drawing board. The next plan is to use a taunt skill. Most ally taunters are attackers who'd rather not share the front line with another attacker. Even fewer of them have any kind of synergy with a buster attacker like Bunyan. However, there is an ally taunting support, Miss Crane. She taunts every other frontliner for 3 turns, and eating half of all attacks for 3 turns is a lot more survivable than taking everything to the face. Her buff suite is also quite nice for Bunyan, filling in gaps like crit and NP damage. If you're feeling greedy though, there's another option. Take responsibility. Summer BB can lock in your hand for 3 turns, and if you lock Bunyan into a Brave Chain, that's 4 stacks every turn. If you lock in a Buster Brave Chain, that's huge damage every turn. And remember that Faceless Moon generates stars every turn it's active, so you've got a decent shot at some crit action. Once Mighty Chains come out this year, you can alternatively lock in a Buster Quick Arts Chain, which will generate a fair number of resources and feasibly let you use America's Dark Sweetheart multiple times at high stacks, with some charge support preferably. But the thing about Summer BB strats is that they're unreliable as fuck. Getting any kind of Brave Chain is a toss-up. If you're trying to lock in a good chain on top of that, it's Reset City. The last and most practical option is to engage with likes opportunistically, but otherwise pay them no heed. This means playing Super Bunyan as a generic Buster attacker, and to her credit, she can single target Buster Loop with some help from Koyanskaya of Light. She can NP 3 times with K-Scope and the standard arrangement with the Atlas uniform. Or you can swap to a 50% CE like Cranking, or as it's unfortunately called over here, watch me crank it, watch me roll. With 50% starting charge and Bunyan's Charger Pen maxed out, she can use Vision Quest to immediately NP. On turn 2, you have both coins fill her up to go again. She might regret stiffing them, by the way. On turn 3, Vision Quest is back up for 30%, and if there's a 70% shortfall, you know who to call. Swap in Oberon and use all his skills for an explosive finale. Super Bunyan has 2 other tricks up her sleeve. The first is that her NP animation gets faster in her 3rd ascension, so much so that some lunatics on the JP server have her at 120 just for speed killing purposes. If your goal is to, say, gobble up as many raids as possible, Super Bunyan is the logical, if degenerate endpoint. Raids are a zero-sum game after all. For single-target applications where speed matters, I just use Kintoki for my part. Against anything that's not a foreigner, I like him better, just for the record, though having him at 120 might give me a bit of bias on that front. Another trick is that she's gifted with the single best kind of anti-class of pen skill, anti-berserker damage. 30% attack is a reward for fighting something you do double damage against anyway. That's a really good deal. But you might be thinking, I need 2 pens? That sounds really expensive. The bad news is, yes, it is. The good, news, is that if you're going to seriously use Super Bunyan, you'll want her at a high NP level anyway. For reference, her single turn damage against non-berserkers doesn't match Mecha Ellie until you hit NP 3. Now Mecha Ellie relies on a single turn buff to reach those numbers, but here's the point. If you don't go out of your way to mess with her gimmick, Super Bunyan is really fucking expensive to operate at a functional level. And the fact of the matter is that outside of her lightning fast NP speed, she doesn't reward the level of investment she asks for, which, if nothing else, seems to be in character with her event. If you are having second thoughts about letting the banish slip away, don't. You'll have bigger fish to fry soon enough. So, where's the history segment? I gave it some more thoughts after reading what you guys had to say on the last video and came to this conclusion. A perfect guide for me is both the gameplay and history/mythology segments, but a perfect guide also doesn't come out 3 days before the event ends. Doing all 3 is currently beyond my ability, so I'll have to accept for the time being that perfect is the enemy of done. And right now, there are a lot of things that need to get done. I'll try and circle back to the history segments down the road, maybe put them out as separate videos after the initial new event rush, we'll have to see. But with that said, thanks for watching. Like if you found this video helpful, subscribe for more, and come on to twitch.tv/Finotaisen where I stream every week, Friday through Sunday, 3 PM Pacific time. This week I'll be doing an Age of Empires 2 tournament on Saturday, and rolling for the single worst 5-star in FGO on Sunday. You won't want to miss it.